The first thing I would like to say is when we started this program in 2019, we had only 17%. Somebody spoke about Mission Bhagiratha. Basically, Mission Bhagiratha, I had an opportunity to visit that. There are many things under Mission Bhagiratha I can't openly tell because it's also getting recorded here. So the point was 16% of the tap connections were in the country in the rural areas. The National Commission for Integrated Water Resources Development and Management in 1999 said that the rural areas have to get 150 liters of water in 2050, 100 liters around in 2025, and by 2010 it has to get 55. Now in 2019 we went for 55. We have been giving 40 liters in the rural areas starting from 1972 when Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program was started. If you read the brief history of the drinking water supply that is given in our guidelines of Jal Jeevan Mission, you will come to know how this program, which was basically in a health sector program, came to urban sector, then it went to rural development, and finally the ministry was formed, and then it was accommodated to the rural areas. The question is that you have 135 liters of rural area, all your waters get transferred from rural to urban, whether it comes from your tanker or from a long distance water transfer or from a dam. It comes from rural to urban, calling the urban areas as growth engines, and they need to be fed. The respected professor also said that IITs take 200 liters, whereupon they should have been actually reduced. Why is that you can't give water in rural areas? I have visited, I can very politely say I visited around 400 districts of this country out of 735. Traveled to nook and corner of this country, starting from Arunachal Pradesh to Gujarat this side, from Srinagar to Kanyakumari this side. Deep jungle areas. Recently, just a week ago, I was in the Nepal border, returning from Kalimpong and Darjeeling. So you people have to understand that the suffering a person undergoes to get a water in rural areas is unimaginable. A woman who hardly has around 30-40 kgs of weight, carrying a child on her back or front in northeastern regions, 15 kg of water carried, traveling 20 degrees slope to go 50-60 meters down and fetch water at a time in a place which is having jungle. There is always a possibility of wild animal coming there, some wild men coming there, wild human beings coming there. This is a risk. So it was a very calculated decision of the government of India to provide water. Earlier, under the National Rural Development Program, drinking water program, we were giving water to stand post. There was a provision to give house connections, but the stand post was the basic objective. We started with hand pumps, India hand pump, Mark II pumps. We have then decided we will completely do the, I will quickly finish my thing also because we're getting late. So we went to the piped water supply. Then this was the thought that came that no, you need to reduce the drudgery. And then we need to, even in today, in places of Arunachal and other place, you will find in West Bengal and other places, people travel around 2.5 hours, almost 4 kilometers. Go to a place like Kalimpong, you will find individual houses putting hose pipes for 4 or 5 kilometers in a place where there is a thing called Jora or a spring in the hilly, and bring water, 4 or 5 people. And 21 feet of that pipe costs 500 rupees. You have to take that pipe for 4 kilometers, right? And the investment comes to around 2.5 lakhs to 3 lakhs per pipe. And 4 or 5 families join together and spend this money. This is the amount of money that is spent by the rural areas for fetching water, right? And then, in all sewer city schemes, whether it is Amrit or any other state government schemes, do you expect the people to contribute for the capital cost of these water supply schemes? Have any rural guy has contributed for this capital cost, or for a road, for a drinking water, for any facility for that matter? But in this, communities are willing to contribute 10%. We have collected around 1,100 odd crores. Of course, in many places, we do have a lot of differences in collections because political calculations vary across the states. The point I'm trying to make is the sort of difficulties people face for fetching water in rural is unimaginable unless and until somebody goes and actually sees them. And this is the, experience that has sunk in me over a period of last 25 years of my experience in water sector. Since 1993, I've been working in Central Water Commission, Water Resources Department of Tamil Nadu, 16 years in Water Resources Division of then Planning Commission and Niti Aayog, and now here last 5 years in DDWS, Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation. I can tell you, sir, with all humbleness, that this country, rural households really deserve a tap for the sort of difficulties they face. Now, there can be different arguments whether they only provide a tap, they don't provide water. No, this argument will always be there. Urban areas all have taps. How many of the times you get, in all your urban areas, are you dispensing with your tampers or what? Are you not getting water through tankers? See, in a very difficult time when there is no rainfall, obviously you can't provide water through pipes. Chennai Metro, I own a house in Chennai Metropolitan. I pay pathetic 60 rupees per month as water supply charge. In Delhi, in NDMC area, I pay 1100 rupees per month for water. See the difference. What I'm paying for water in Delhi as well as in Chennai. This is the difference in the tariff between these two places. And here I know at what time the water will come, at what time the water will stop. And then there in Chennai, CMWSSP, at least I'm not sure when it will come even today. No, the point is, considering these great difficulties that is being faced, and we have a lot of geogenic contaminations in the country. Remember, we have almost a third of the area which has a lot of, this geogenic contaminants starting from arsenic, fluoride, iron. Even now, today, we have antibiotics. You talk everything, it is there now because the same medicines are being used by people, whether it is in rural area or urban area, it is all dispensed, and what comes out through your urine or your body discharges, it's all having all these things. No, there was a need to give treated water to these rural areas through households. That's the first point. And then there was a talk, how would you provide water? Somebody said when there was a discussions happening, they were telling that, no, this is you are going very ambitious, you can't do it. How will you provide water to areas which are far flung? I have visited Arunachal Pradesh, Upper Siang district, bordering China, where you will find one house is in one mountain, and another house is in another mountain, having the same census code as that village. Now I need to, and there are only 5 houses, and you can't say, and they are tribals, they won't come down to the households, they have to be provided water. And this is the same problem that they face, in the sense that whether you provide water, if you don't provide water, they're going to live their life. In any case, they are living their life. But this was the thought, is to ensure that people have ease of life. And today, we are absolutely happy to say that we have got 60% of the country covered with taps. Maybe the water that is supposed to reach these houses reach below 55 or above 55, or sometimes it is 24/7 if there is a water. There are many areas, you'll be surprised to know, in rural areas of water-rich areas of Meghalaya. I've been to villages which are very near to Bangladesh. In those areas, people are getting 24/7 water in this Jal Jeevan Mission, which is a luxury even in many of the cities today. And this is the actual, and one of the studies by our own internal studies and by others, and by IIM Bangalore and all others, have shown that the drudgery has been reduced by around 2.5 to 3 hours for women. We have not made those things public, but these are the things that are happening. And when somebody says that, this is going to be a menace, it really, sometimes really hurts. In fact, tomorrow we have a Civil Services Day where PM is going to honor the collector of Kanjipuram that has achieved 100% tap water connection. Now you may question whether the water is coming exactly at the stipulated time or not. Yes, this is a journey that has begun. 70 years, there was a big problem. How many people had bank accounts before 2014? I'm not supporting anybody in the system or a political thing. How many were having the bank accounts? How many were having gas cylinders? How many were having electricity? This is basically a program meant for ease of living. And I can tell you, I have got videos where women literally cry. And there were instances where they have been physically attacked when they go for water, fetch water, or for toilet, go for their nature's call. So this is a scheme that actually reaching water to the household inside, because each of us have got around 20, 25 taps in our house. We don't value a tap actually. But go to an area near Meghalaya or in Arunachal or in Kalimpong or in the cornermost part of Gujarat or in Srinagar or in, Kerala's endpoints or in Tamil Nadu. You will really know why you want this place there. And Chhattisgarh, I've been to this, LWE affected areas, Jharkhand. So this is a scheme which actually empowers people, and some of them are running very efficiently. So I will be very, very happy and thankful if somebody says why this is a menacing, and we will try to correct. Maybe I am sitting in some level of policy. I am working for Niti Aayog also. I am basically here working on deputation.
But my first point is that, why should the central government usurp this whole activity of drinking water in some village in Arunachal Pradesh? Why can't in our system, we have not been able to, whether this government or the earlier government, for instance, when I used to be studying in the university in the late 70s, we had a target that by 1988, there will be drinking water for all in the country. You will also remember that, right? So what I have been emphasizing, all the pain and penury of rural people, we accept, and we definitely know that there is water to be had. But why I am saying this, after seeing programs like Swajal, after seeing programs like this, where once you have done, once it is dropped back, nobody will go back to them unless there is another Jal Jeevan mission that comes after 25 years or 40 years. So my fundamental concern is, how do we enable local governments, this thing to be able to be competent to deal with this, rather than periodically have a scheme and slowly now central government, maybe next time, we'll say central government is also not capable. So, now that Mr. Parveshwaran is in the World Bank, we should hand it over to the World Bank to ensure that every last drop of water is there. So my biggest concern is that, where in the nature of an ecosystem, for instance, you mentioned about Arunachal, I also mentioned about Uttarakhand. In certain places, for instance, the answer I got from the Chief Secretary, when the Swajal program was going on, was that you can't find water solution to each one of them. Ask them to come and live between 2,000 and 4,000 feet height. Then we'll provide them infrastructure. But that is where those people have been living for ages. So what I am saying is, one is, we are taking this problem to a higher level without being able to solve it there. And therefore, once a scheme gets, kind of over, like after that, if it fails, there is no other way for them, because they'll have, I have been helping villagers to write in the mining areas, in the coal belt where I work extensively, where after after mining for coal, adjoining areas are dry, but the scheme is over. Now they can't ask for anything else. Then we go and plead whether it's under the district mineral foundation, some money will be available. So it is for the people for whom the program has come. If we today evaluate Swajal after 25 years, we might find that only 20% of that original, this thing still exists. Rest of them may not be even covered under the Jal Jeevan mission, because they have already been, supposedly, their money has been paid for period till 2031. Second thing, where, you also mentioned, and I feel very bad, when it comes to urban areas and urban infrastructure, or even industrial infrastructure, we don't call it subsidy, we call it incentive or whatever it is. The government invests, or we take loans from World Bank to everybody. But when it is a rural water supply, drinking water system, we say that he is irresponsible, he must give 10% or 20% of it. Right? Why should the last person in the country be made to, as if he is irresponsible and rest of us are very responsible? Why make these kind of, demands on those kind of people. That is where I feel, no, otherwise, no, definitely, no, there is a responsibility of the state to ensure water is to be there. But these are two, major concerns I have. One, a universal solution across the country may not be, the ideal thing. We need to look at different kinds of things and encourage that. And the second is what happens when, a particular thing fails. What is the, kind of solution to those kind of, in that context only, when in the mining areas I see it has dropped off, and then I say it is a menace, because if it was not there, they could have asked the local government or the municipality to provide water. Now they are saying, "Aapka to scheme ho gaya hai."
I think the response will take a longer time, but just to, place, I think you all may also be pretty well knowing this. See, in the constitutional scheme of things, water is a state subject. So and then in 1992, it was devolved further to the panchayats. In fact, it is in the schedule 9th or 11th, including sanitation, the water supply has been devolved.
29 subjects which are there.
Right. So it is already there as state subject. What center has been doing since 1972, or for that matter, in the various centrally sponsored schemes that have been funded by central government, is that you can give some guidelines, you can give a technical assistance, you can give a financial assistance. But at the end of the day, if the bank is giving a loan for a child's education, it is for the child as well as their parents to ensure that the loan is used for a thing that is actually being given for. And then, in fact, it is the duty of the bank to get back the money. But in this case, all grants are going as grants. We are not giving loans also to the state. These are free 50% grants. Apart from these grants, the Finance Commission also has given 1.31 lakh crore over a period of 2021 to 2026. Now, having said this, we are slowly building the capabilities of all the communities through our knowledge resource centers and all other things. You spoke about Swajal. Yes, Mr. Iyer worked in Swajal. He was the project director for Swajal. And then from there, only he had actually gone to World Bank in his earlier stint. Swajal has been, see, the Swajal was very successful in Uttarakhand part of then combined Uttar Pradesh. But it was a failure in Bundelkhand. The Uttarakhand part of Swajal, all the people come together, and then they have, even when you go to places far off from Nainital or some other places where I have been to, there are social schemes which are working, but I'm not sure what percentage, we're talking about 20%, I'm not sure what percentage is actually working. But to answer your first query, it is only to certain extent central government can do fund it, give technical assistance. In fact, we are even paying the states up to 60% of the cost for setting up of district project management units, third-party inspection agencies, implementing support agencies. We have empaneled around 99 knowledge resource centers.
I've also been a part of the government. I've been with the Department of Atomic Energy. I've been with the ONGC. I understand what are the kind of things that a government or a set of sincere people in the government are trying to do, right? I'm not denying that. What I am saying is, in the nature of the construct of how we resolve these problems is where the problem is. We are thinking that a large scheme and an ambitious scheme that by 5 years will reach the last household in the country. Perhaps that kind of a thing itself is the root cause of the problem. Rather than, like for instance, like you also mentioned about arsenic, fluoride, those areas. But why can't we first, resolve those problems which are even more severe than trying to, give water to places where they can already manage now? So it is how we prioritize. And second thing is, as you say, at the end of the day, we also know that, even in PESA areas, how much the panchayat systems are able to actually implement all the 29 subject areas granted to them, right? But we have not invested in that. I'm saying our investments have not gone into equipping the local communities, but as schemes to deliver things. And that is where, I think there is a, dilemma, because from a community perspective, or as a person working with communities, I would tell them that you find your problem has to be resolved by you, and how do you get to resolve that? Right. And if there are support that you can get from government, you can get from other people, where you cannot do it by yourself, you do it.
We used to talk about how this is a nasha that the government feeds communities, to a point where in many panchayats today across India, they have lost the ability to self-govern. They say, "My baap karegi, hame karne ki kya waise zarurat?" This is the challenge that Sreedhar is talking about. We need to. Government is about governance, Mr. Murlidharan. Why is it going into activities of this kind where it funds projects? It is not in the business of doing things. It is in the business of governing things. We all know that. Let us forget about constitution and schemes. You go to any village today, Mr. Murlidharan, you will have 32 schemes only for water. There will be other schemes after that. So this politicizing of this all, apart from the communalizing of it, which has happened from about, let us say, 1890 or 1900, and I'm so glad I dearly, I respect you for being here, wanting to see how you can understand the complexity of this situation that we have created. It's not like we have inherited. This generation of ours, yours and mine, has created this in the last, say, 30 years.